Hi, this is Emily from Booknote Literary Services. Wanted to talk to you about the book The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupery, written in 1943 as a little novella. It's one of the most top money-producing selling books of all time, translated into over 300 languages and dialects. Since that time, over 140 million copies sold. So the Antoine de Saint-Exupery was a soldier in World War II. He was a pilot, and he escaped to America at some point, where he did a lot of his writings. The Little Prince is technically a children's book or little novel, but really it's laced with hidden metaphor, allegory, and life lessons and themes, which is why it's read even by so many students of literature, adults even. I just read it for the second time. The first time I read The Little Prince, it was like, whoa, it was kind of like a psychedelic trip. It was a little, it gets weirder and weirder, but very charming, very nice read, very full of deep emotional meaning. But you start to wonder what the hidden meaning is behind some of what you read, and you don't really catch that until you read it the second and third time. So it's really kind of has this underlying lace of a division of classes, rich over poor. I want to read to you one thing I think is really interesting. Kings don't own, they reign over. It's quite different. So what does owning do to you? It does to me the good of being rich. And what good does it do to you to be rich? This is two characters talking to each other. It lets me buy other things if somebody discovers them. The little prince said to himself, this man argues a lot, like my drunkard. Nevertheless, he asked more questions. How can someone own the stars? To whom do they belong? I don't know, to nobody, I guess. They belong to me, said, this is the little prince, because I thought of it first. Is that all it takes? Is thinking of it first? Of course, when you find a diamond that belongs to nobody, it belongs now to you. When you find an island that belongs to nobody, it belongs to you. When you're the first person to have an idea, you patent it and it's yours. Now I own the stars, since no one before me ever thought of owning them. And then what's really interesting is me being very involved in animal rights and vegetarianism, veganism. There's something really interesting in this book about the owning of animals and humans over the animals. So, for example, I'm looking for people, said the little prince. What does it mean to be tamed? People, said the fox, have guns and they hunt. It's quite troublesome. And they also raise chickens. That's the only interesting thing about them. Are you looking for chickens? No, said the little prince. I'm looking for friends. What does tamed mean? It's something that has to do with something that's often neglected. It means to create ties. To create ties? That's right, said the fox. For me, you're only a little boy just like 100,000 other little boys. And I have no need for you. And you have no need of me either. For you, I am only a fox, like 100,000 other foxes. But if you tame me, we'll need each other. You'll be the only boy in the world for me, and I'll be the only fox in the world for you. So it really gets into sort of the domination of humans over animals, the rich over the poor. And, the story is about a man who's sort of stranded on a desert island and running out of water, and he starts to see things, starts to see there's a snake, and then the little prince emerges. And so it's really based on Saint-Exupery's experience when he himself, I think, had crashed and was stranded in the Sahara Desert. So it's a really interesting and charming little book. It's full of life lessons. You can translate them any way you want, but there's a lot of the underlying theme of having faith in and believing in what you can't see. The most famous line being, let's see if I wrote it down. Well, I didn't write it down, and I don't want to bore you with any more reading, but the bottom line is toward the ending of the book. Actually, I don't want to give it away. So really, it's about seeing with your heart and not with your eyes. And so I really recommend The Little Prince. It's a classic work of literature. It's listed as one of the 100 greatest children's books ever written through a few different literary sources, sites, and organizations. So check it out. This copy has some really nice illustrations. I mean, you can read this book in an hour, but it really is a lot more intricate and complicated than you think. It's probably not a book you'd actually want to read to children that are too young. And even then, they were not going to appreciate all of the hidden meaning. So thanks everybody for watching, and keep on reading.